in my head, I felt like the world was against me. No, it was not my family. No, it was not my friends.
Hey, yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So today I decided to record this video face to face instead of just like a voiceover of like apartment hunting. So today this is a part 2 of the story time of how I lost my best friend. Alright, anything in this video or everything that you hear today is based on my experience and how I could have handled stuff in the past and how I'm handling them now in the future and now, past and now. All right, so I hope that you learn from this video, and we're growing together, we elevating together, and we're doing this together. Remember that we are living this life for the first time, and you are going to make mistakes. The only part that is important is that you learn from these mistakes and not make them again in the future. All right, so before we even start with this video, I want us to take a moment of silence and pray real quick for protection and healing and guidance. Just 2 to 5 seconds. All right, let's go. Amen. All right, once again, welcome back to another video. So how did I lose one of my closest friends back in the day? So I already did part 2. I'm just going to continue the part of the story, and if you need to catch up, go to part 1 of the video and come back to part 2. So I couldn't finish the full video. I'm just going to do a quick recap of everything that had happened and then continue the video, and we'll talk about what I learned, how am I doing now, and yeah. Okay, so first thing first, let's do a recap. So first of all, I moved to a new city and I started working at Amazon, and I had this group of friends, and they were great people. I just never had a big group of friends before. I was 19 at the time, so to me everything was new because I'm not that type of person that will go out of my way to make friends. So having a group of friends and different personalities, different characters, it was just amazing. Okay, I learned so much from them. They were from different countries, different races. It was just beautiful because it's just like, yes, I moved to the new city for college, but I didn't met these friends in college. I met them at work, which was even pretty amazing. And I think that's kind of like what happened when you work at a warehouse. You just meet different type of people, and so yeah, we were doing all type of things like partying, church, or going out, working out together, everything you're gonna like. I got really close to the girls, and they welcomed me with open arm. Like, it was just crazy. I've never had that before, so it was shocking to me. And I had gotten to a point that I had no choice then to open up and be myself around them, because I'm the type of person, I have really high anxiety and I'm very anxious around new people. I don't really know how to control myself around people because I have this in me where I'm very scared of people. I'm very skeptical of what people will do. Let's just call it paranoia. It was worse when I was younger. Now, after therapy and after new friends, after new experiences, I'm like much better than how I was when I was younger. But the experience that I got at Amazon with these friends were very life-changing, to be honest. All right, to continue, I think I stopped where I did get into a car accident. And after my car accident, I didn't know how to control my emotions. It's not because no one in that friend group did anything to me. They didn't do anything to me. They were very supportive. They were always there calling me. They were with me on the phone 5 a.m., 6 a.m. talking to me, make sure I was good. But I didn't know how to control, how to be myself. And as a 19-year-old full-time student, and I remember around this time, I think it was not midterm, it was finals. It was finals. I was struggling because I think I was working a lot. Like I was doing overtime. I was and if you ever work at a warehouse, you know it's like 12 hours, 10 to 12 hour shifts a day and 4 days a week. So it was pretty much it was a lot. So I had to, juggle a lot at 19, and it was my first time moving out of my parents' house. That means I didn't have my support system there. Yes, I had the friend group. They were amazing. Yes, they were amazing. But at the time in my head, I didn't have my support system, like my families. Yes, I had friends when I was, back in where I'm from. I had a lot of friends, but they weren't like friends I could like call up in the morning. One of them were, but like I'm talking like not all of them. Yeah, I talked to my friend back in the woods from time to time, but I'm talking about my support system, my family. Like emotionally, they weren't there for me. So in that moment, after I was about to fail a class. I was this close to fail the class, and if I didn't pass my final exam, I would definitely fail that class. I just got into a car accident. Terrible. My body was hurting. My car is total loss, mind you, and my job was 40 minutes away from where I lived. That means I couldn't take Uber to work, because even if I tried to take Uber to work, it would have been a lot, because who wants to pay? It was around COVID, like, it was 2020, but it was around like where everything was hard. Like even the job was hard. Everything was hard. So to me, it's just like, I didn't want to take Uber to work, because that would have been a lot of money, and I'm paying rent for the first time in my life. I have other bills for the first time in my life, my phone and stuff like that. And I'm a student and I'm working hard. And then I just lost my car. I just got my car and I lost it. And then my body was hurting. And then I'm in school. All right. And then at that time, I was also obese. That means, not even that. And then I was always sick with food allergies. I was always in the hospital. So I had so much going on. It's not an excuse for the way I acted, but it is me, going back and said, yes, I was going through a lot, but it does not excuse my behaviors at the time. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. Yes, sometimes we act a certain way because of the things that we're going through, but it does not excuse that behavior. Okay. All right. So after they were there for me, I didn't know what to do. I felt like, in my head, I felt like the world was against me. No, it was not my family. No, it was not my friends. To me, it was just the universe was against me, because why would you take the one thing I worked so hard for? To me, it's just like, whoa, I need to back up. Like, it was a lot going on at the time, and I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Okay. So the first thing in my head is just to stop talking to everyone, my family, my friends, my sister. I wasn't even talking to my sister. I was talking to my friend, one of my closest friends back in my city. I just stopped talking to everybody. I stopped posting. I stopped talking. I stopped going out. I stopped doing everything. Yes, in that moment, that was the only thing that I could have done. Because I didn't know better. I didn't know that in that moment, that's where you get closer to your friends. That's where you get closer to your family. That's where you get closer to God. I didn't even pray, you know. I stopped praying because in my head I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is a test? Is this a test? Is this, you know, something against me? Yeah. So just thinking about all of this, just, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to get emotional, but yeah, it was hard. You know, it was hard. So I started going to work and stop talking to everyone. That means I would go ahead and do my work. I see you, mind you, it was a big group of friends. Everybody would be like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? Be like, I'm fine, you know, but I'm not fine. And that's another thing. Communication is very, very important. Communications are very, very important. And I know at a young age, a lot of people don't understand that, especially if you were raised to, you know, not talking back, or not even talking back, because like I know in the Caribbean household, it's just like they think of it as you talking back. You weren't allowed to express yourself. So whenever you're going through something, or whenever something's going on, or you feel different about something, you were supposed to keep quiet and just take it, right? And I'm not saying this to cause, you know, any type of issues, but it is sometimes like that in our culture, and that is something that we need to work on and let teenagers or, you know, young adults express themselves even at a young age. I'm not talking about disrespecting your parents or disrespecting elders. I'm talking about express yourself. Like, you know, this is your opinion. This can also be my opinion. This is how you view this, but this is how I view it. No, you weren't allowed to do that. Okay. So I never really know how to express myself fully, how to tell people what's going on, because I felt like people didn't really care anyway, you know, and that's not true. That's not true. Communications are very, very important. And the sooner you realize that, the better your life will be. The better your life will be. I was terrible at communications. Terrible. I would just cut you off instead of communicating my feelings. And in that case, I didn't cut off my friends. I just stopped talking to them, right? In my head, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I'll just stop talking to them for now. But guess what? If you're going to do that, you have to also communicate that I'm not, give me some time. Like right now I'm going through, and they know I was going through a lot, and I know they would be willing to wait for me to be better, for them to, you know, for us to start talking again. But in my head, that wasn't the case. I just didn't think that far, okay? I just stopped completely. And that was the problem. That was the issue. Because in their head, I was being fake. And they have all the right in the world to think that. They have all the right in the world to believe that this is some sneaky thing. Like, what are you doing? We've been there for you. We called you. We this. And then you just ice us out at work. You don't call us. We text you. You call you. You just don't answer. They asked me what was wrong. They called me. I said I was okay. But I could have went further and said, I'm not okay. And, you know, I should have said, I'm not okay. I have a lot going on and I need some space. Problem solved. That's all. That's all. That's all. But I didn't have it in me. I did not have it in me. And after a week or so, everybody started like, okay, she's really doing this. She's really not talking to us. And it was, I don't know what they were talking, you know, behind me. I loved everyone, you know, and I was very nice to everyone. They never seen that side of me before, ever. And that's why everybody was confused, because they're like, what is going on with her? Yes, we know this just happened, but like, that's not her, you know? So in that moment, I heard people coming to me, like, they like, oh, we heard this, we heard that. Are you okay? Why are you doing this? Like, these are your friends. Like, you know, go back and talk to them, tell them what's going on and stuff like that. Okay, so after somewhat a week, after, I remember this guy came to me and talked to me and be like, you can't do this, you know, these are your friends. If you're going through something, just tell them, talk to them, like express yourself. And after probably a week, I went to one of my closest friends there, and I called her in the morning. I remember around 5 a.m. We were driving back home. I called her, and then I expressed everything to her. But in that moment, she's like, it wasn't the same. It was not the same. And she was the closest friend to me, okay? It wasn't the same. She was done with me. And I was confused. I didn't understand. Like, what do you mean? Like, you know, in my head, I'm like, why is she acting like this? I didn't do nothing. Yeah, you did. You did something wrong. And at that moment, I had to realize that. All right, so excuse this. I had to go do something real quick. But yeah, so like, the relationships were not the same. The tones, the verbal expression, the non-verbal expressions, the verbal expression, everything was different, okay? And I could feel it. It's not the same energy anymore. So I'll go to work, I'll try to talk. She accepted my apology. I apologize to everyone. They accepted my apology, but it was never the same again. And that's kind of like one thing that you have to learn in life. Certain things that you do will affect you for the rest of your life. Yes, you apologize. Yes, you want to make things better, but it will never be the same. Why? Because you let time pass. 1, 2, sometimes you have to go through stuff to understand how things work. Because if I had never went through that, I would never understand. You can't do this to friends. Because like, just put yourself in their shoes. If they had done this to you, how would you feel as a friend who has been there for their friends at all times? How would you feel? Okay? So I had to learn that once. 2, you cannot expect everything to go back to the way it was after you act a certain ways. Okay? In my head, I was starting feeling better. I started talking to a therapist. You know, I'm getting better. In my head, everything was supposed to get back to the way it was. No. Let me tell you, after this happened, the group was never the same, ever. We went out once after that. It was a birthday party, because we always go to each other's birthdays, always. And that's the craziest part. We always go to each other's birthday parties or birthday dinner. So we went to a birthday dinner. They invited me. It was awkward, okay, at the table. It was awkward at the table. I didn't even want to be there, okay? And the person that was my closest friend there, she didn't even talk to me. And I apologized, you know. I thought, you know, we were going to be cool again. Not even in my head, I never thought it wouldn't be the same. I was just like, you know, we were going to be cool again. They would understand. No. And you cannot expect, after you've done something, for everything to get back to normal. This is something that people have to understand. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, if you know you're wrong and you did something, you cannot expect the same energy. Sometimes it might go back to the same way, but sometimes it will never, ever be back the same way. Okay? And in that time period, I'm like, yeah, you know, the friendship is over. Our friend group is over. And that was at that moment I decided, you know, maybe it's time for me to leave this facility, you know, the work environment. And at that moment, I was mad at myself. And then I was also mad at everybody. That's another problem. You cannot be mad at people that's the consequences of your behavior. That's what happened when you act a certain way. And that's something that a lot of people have to understand and learn from. In that moment, the first few months after this whole thing escalated, I didn't understand that was the consequences of my behaviors. I thought everybody was wrong and I was right. Why? Because I'm like, I was the one going through something. Why are they acting like this? No, why are you? Why did you act the way you act to your friends? You know, why did you act like that? They were good to you. very good friends, you acted like that, okay? So couple, probably a year later, I was coming more to my senses after more experiences, more friendships. You know, I would never recovered from that experience. And that was something that, you know, I had to learn from. And this is another lesson in life, that sometimes you get put into a situation so you can learn things about yourself, about your environment, communities. You can learn, because sometimes people are in your life for a season, not for a long time. And I really wish I knew this before, you know, knowing them, because I never wanted to lose that friend group. I never wanted for what happened to happen, but it had to happen for me to understand consequences of friendship, consequences of behaviors, and things like that. So yeah, these are the things that I learned about losing my friend group. And I'm still not perfect, you know. I can learn more, but I know more now to communicate my feelings and communicate things that are going in my lives with my friends. I'm not saying you will never see me, you know, lost my friend group again, but but I know for sure, I know now how to be better, how to be a better friend, how to be there more for my friends, especially when they're there for you and you know they're very genuine. And I can say that I never ever met or had another friend group like this again in my life. And I know it's probably because I wasn't a great friend for my first group of friends before, and that's why that happened. I know it wasn't like I did something really big, you know, but it doesn't matter if you did something big or small. It's like you did something, and the most important thing is that you learn from it and you won't let it happen again, okay? But yeah, so this is like my story time. I don't know if I covered everything. Oh yeah, I did apologize to everyone. It was just never the same again. We talk here and there. I still have them on social media. I commented under the pictures, happy birthday and stuff like that, but it was never the same again. And one more thing, I still have videos of everyone on my Snapchat, you know, when we were hanging out all the time. You know, these are memories I would never erase, because I don't think, you know, just because we don't talk, I would never be that friend, oh, you know, they're in the past. No, I'll still have these in my memories and keep them. I'm not gonna say forever, but for a long time, okay? Because especially Snapchat, they remind you all the time, you know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm like, oh, you know. And these memories also helps you to know how far you came from, and you know how to be a better person, okay? But yeah, if something like this ever happens to you, or you went through a similar situation, you may comment down below and let me know what exactly you actually went through, and if it was similar, and what did you learn? Because we all learn something in our lives, and it's crazy because like you learning every single day you learning something, even if it's positive, negative, I don't know, you learn something, okay? So the only thing you can do is like, if it's negative, is learn from it and don't repeat it, because God will not punish you because you did something you didn't know about, you know. So the only thing is that you do something, you learn from it, and you move on. Yes, there will be regrets. Yes, there might be, you know, if only that's regret. There will be, you know, thoughts and feelings, but that's what will make you a stronger person in the future and know how to act better, you know. Yes, I wish in the future I do have another group of friends like this, but I think that was my lesson, and I learned the hard way, okay? I learned the hard way, and I feel like maybe because of me, the friend group didn't, I don't know, I don't want to take full, like, I don't know, I don't know, but I did I did take accountability that it was my fault. It was partly my fault, or maybe 90% my fault, that the friend group didn't make it. Because after I left, I know they hang out here and there, but it was just never the same. It was just never the same. Yeah. That is something that bothers me a lot till this day. And the only thing I can do is just, be better, make better decisions, and don't repeat the same mistakes. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, I want you to let me know what you enjoyed, and let me know what you learned. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our video. I will have more story times and more experiences and more things that I learned. We are still learning, we are still learning and making mistakes, but it's not about the mistakes, about what we learn from the mistakes and not repeat it. All right, so have a great rest of your day whenever you're watching this video. See you next time.